Welcome to Mint Views. What we're going to talk about today are the strong rumors in the market that the government is actually thinking of axing something called the Dividend Distribution Tax, DDT. Now, this is the tax that the government charges companies for distributing their share of profits that they make during the year, what we call dividends. The rate is around 15%. It has a surcharge. There's a cess. I think it effectively comes to around something over 20%. The question is, and this is the debate we'd like to have, should we not just get rid of all taxes on dividends whatsoever? So, Anant, do you have a view on this?
Yeah, I think my view may not resonate with many of you, but I think this should not be withdrawn. And given the kind of financial situation the government is in right now, it needs resources from whatever sources they can get money. And there is a perception that this government is way too soft on capitalists, on businesses, on investors, on markets, and the middle class and the poor people, as you've seen in the PMC Bank fraud case also, those people have not really got any major benefits from the government. So I think that is the segment where the government needs to give a little bit more attention. Given the financial constraint, since they need revenues, if you have to tax somebody, I would say then tax these big capitalists rather than taxing the middle class, because they're anyway in pain and they need relief.
But companies are already being taxed, are they not? They already pay corporate tax on their profits. So this is double taxation, is it not? Do you have a view on this, Srija?
I would agree, but as I will actually, draw an extension from Anand's point, because as you see, the country already suffers from what we know as an inequitable distribution of wealth. So we still have the top 1% who has it all, and then we have a larger section of the have-nots. So if we scrap the DDT, wouldn't this imply that the capitalists are really going to get their crores of amount into the bank accounts without any form of taxation? And being a regular salaried employee, we pay our regular income taxes. So this probably will foster unequal culture of wealth distribution.
Srijay, what do you think about this?
See, initially, if the government actually goes ahead and eliminates the DDT, it would suffer some revenue losses for sure. But then if it does not do so, it would lead to a situation of being penny wise and pound foolish. See, India needs vast amounts of resources to build its infrastructure in the country. For example, Prime Minister Narendra Modi only yesterday said that India would be investing $100 billion to build energy infrastructure in the country. Where will that money come from? These are long-term investments that you need. And if you remove these kind of obstacles in the form of dividend distribution tax, for example, you can actually attract pension funds from abroad. By eliminating this, we can surely, in the long run, invite and attract these kind of funds who are willing to put their money and help our economy grow.
Problem in this country seems to be that we don't actually have any kind of dividend culture. The dividend yields in our stock market, most of them for most stocks, are actually very, very low. Do we not need to actually ease through policy measures the ability of a company to actually reward its shareholders more? I say this because we need to create an equity culture to get more people signing up, buying shares, wanting to be owners of companies by which they can profit from the companies that are making money. The higher taxes we have on stuff like dividends, the more it deters people, or deters companies rather, from actually handing out dividends.
That also actually strengthens the case for eliminating DDT.
But think about the tax now. The tax is also just for dividends paid up to 10 lakh rupees, there is no tax on that.
In the hands of investors.
In the hands of the investor.
Right.
If you're getting dividend beyond that level, then only on the excess you're paying just about 10% tax.
Yeah, but having a very high dividend distribution tax actually keeps a company from distributing. They want to plow back the money into their operations. So long as the market is growing, that may make some sense. But in this country, we have found somehow peculiarly that companies don't like to share the profits they're making. One of the reasons I suspect, or we may suspect, is because the dividend distribution tax is high. or that it does not reward a company to reward its own shareholders. We need to change the incentive system, don't you think?
In principle, you're right, but given the kind of political difficulties we see over here and the fiscal difficulties that the government is going through, I think they also need to battle a perception over here that are they favoring capitalists too much? Are they looking at markets and at the cost of the poor people of this country or the middle class of the country who have supported them through tough times, but they're not getting anything in return?
Well, I'm sure there might be some kind of blowback from ordinary people if they actually begin to sense that the government is seeming to favor capitalists. The only thing we can say is that have people who work for their money to join, as to the extent possible, the capitalist class. This they can do by actually buying shares, but they won't be buying those shares unless they can actually see regular routine inflows of money coming in from those shares. That requires dividends. We need to actually have a much wider equity base in this country for more and more people to own shares, and the best way to do that is to actually make sure share ownership can be seen as something of a source of earning. For that we need to encourage dividends. We need to actually remove the heavy taxation on dividends and get more and more people buying shares. Thank you.